Hello and welcome to WP Roundtable. This is Hangout on Air number 14, and today we are discussing child themes. My name is Jason Crawford. I'm a web designer, WordPress designer out of Medellin, Colombia, and that's about it. Nathan.
Hey everybody, Nathan Driver here in Dayton, Ohio. I'm a web developer / digital media strategist. Happy to be here and talk about some child themes.
Yo, what's up, web world? This is Kyle Maurer coming at you live from the greatest city on the planet. That is Jackson, Michigan, where I am lead developer for Real Big Marketing, greatest agency ever created by me. And we're going to talk some child themes today and give you some real knowledge. This is going to be great.
All right, my name's Kellen Mace. My intro is directly following the most humble guy in the universe. You just heard a moment ago. Also modest, most modest guy as well. I do my own thing, freelance work at the URL below. You can check it out and give me a ring if you need some work done. Based in Michigan. That's all I got. Happy to be on tonight talking about child themes.
Hey guys, I'm Brian, web developer here in Dayton, Ohio. Do a lot of work with child themes, custom themes, anything WordPress.
All right. Kyle, you seem like you had the ball rolling on this one.
Well, awesome. That's great, guys. I would love to get us started.
All right, what exactly is a child theme? Let's break that down first.
Oh, thank you for asking that, Nate. That really helps us get started. All right, so a child theme. Child themes are these like totally awesome things that help you make your site more awesome. So first, we got to understand the concept of a WordPress theme. It's something you activate to enhance the visual awesomeness of your site. And so at times you may want to make a change to how this theme you're using is awesomifying your front end of your website. And child themes are a preferred way to do that, to accomplish that, to make changes. So basically it's a theme that inherits files from another theme. So it has a parent and inherits everything from the parent, and the information from the parent can be overridden within the child theme. And so every site will only ever have one active theme, and if you're using a child theme, the child theme will be what is active. And the parent theme will just be another theme that's installed in your site's theme directory, and it is referenced by your child theme. So that is an introduction to what child themes are.
Okay, well, okay, I'm going to keep this rolling. I'll keep asking the questions about that. Hey,
Thanks.
Brian, but I'm going to ask everybody else, what's the benefit of having a child theme?
You asking me, you said?
Yeah.
All right, benefit. Let's say I can give you from experience, from stuff I've walked into before. Let's say you've got this awesome theme that you've built on top of the 2012 theme of WordPress that comes with the site. And then 6 months later, there's an update to the 2012 theme. You've edited the files from the 2012 theme directly. You hit update button in the WordPress dashboard, you lose everything you did. So doing a child theme, is a really smart idea that you never modify the files of the theme you download and install on your site. You actually build a child theme for it. That way the parent theme can update without you losing your information.
Interesting.
I've got a website currently that I cannot update from 3 years ago, something like that, because they modified and created an entirely new theme using the 2012 framework.
Well, couldn't you copy that into a child theme and just go that way?
Yes, you could. But
I mean,
it's a lot of
it's a
work
valid question
at this point.
Right.
I've encountered that actually a lot of times where people come to me and they say, whatever, my site's all, I don't know, screwed up. There's this button that's out of place, or I need to change my phone number, or whatever, and other developer is AWOL, or they sucked and then they were hiring them again or something. And so can you come help us out? You know, we hear you do WordPress. And so I go in and I'm like, sure, you know, I can fix this, you know, stupid problem, like your menu is broken or your phone number's wrong. But did you know you're running, you know, WordPress version 3.4 and your theme is like 5 versions behind, and you also can't update your theme because the previous developer whom you rightfully fired was editing the theme directly? You know, I usually end up getting a little bit more work out of the project than it was originally intended.
So maybe that's a good thing then for you then.
Maybe. It's not the most fun, fulfilling work that a developer can do, cleaning up the mess of another developer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really love that to be my day-to-day purpose, but, you know, it comes up all the time.
Nice.
For those of you who don't know, the world out there is full of just bad developers. It's full of it. They're everywhere.
What?
Everywhere.
Oh wow! But not here. Not on this hangout.
Not on this hangout. That's what this greatest WordPress hangout ever created is gonna help the world by educating developers out there about doing it right.
Now, is it awesome? I've got to ask, is it awesome?
Everything is awesome.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right, geez.
Now,
you know, you bring up a good point, and one of my things, pet peeves, when it comes to child themes, is that like you'll find all these resources where it's supposed to be WordPress experts, and the first thing they'll tell you in every article is go into your themes functions.php file and add this code, and that's just kind of one of those things that drives me absolutely nuts because it's a bad idea, and here these people are supposed to be experts, and that's the first thing they type into any post or say on any video. And so child themes and plugins are the answer. Never go in and just dump something into your functions.php file.
well, that's a great point. But I got a question for the rest of the group. If you create your own custom theme, you know, say you use the framework, the Bootstrap, the _me or whatnot, do you create a child theme from that, or do you just actually, like you said, Jason, edit the functions PHP? What?
You know, for me, it depends on who the client is.
Okay.
If the client is a coder, I will create the custom theme for them, and I will create a child theme on top of that and tell them that's the theme they need to edit.
Oh. That's a good point. Anyone else?
I don't use a lot of child themes just because the framework I use allows me most of the customization I want without needing them, but occasionally, rarely I do find need for a child theme, and if I need it, I use it. I mean, I'm definitely not going to go in and change the theme's functions or the theme's core files to make something happen. So yeah, definitely anytime I can't do something within the theme, I go in, I do a child theme.
Yeah. For myself, I like and use child themes quite a bit especially for clients who don't have, an unlimited budget. For instance, if they, in order to take underscores or one of these frameworks and build, a custom theme from scratch, that's great. If the time is there and the money is there, whatever else. But if it's a smaller, mom and pop shop or whatever else, and I'm able to find a theme that gets us kind of 90% of the way there,
right.
Kind of what they're looking for, but they would like to tweak some, colors and fonts and icons and things like that. That for me is the ideal situation. That's when I suggest, all right, let's purchase that theme or download that theme from .org if it's free, and I'll build a child theme on top of it and show you how to add content after that point, and it works really well. The determining factor for should you edit a parent theme, the one question that would determine that for me is, do you ever want to be able to update this theme? If the answer is no, never, then you could modify a parent theme, but you have to do one of two things. You have to rename it as something else, so that as part of the WordPress update process, it doesn't find any new version of that theme, since you've named it something proprietary or something that you came up with that's specific to you and doesn't share a name with any other theme out there. Otherwise, in the past I found a handy code snippet from Mark Jaquith, who's one of the lead developers, that basically disables the updater. It just makes it so that the updater passes by any certain theme that has this code in it. So I used that on one site, for instance, where I knew I had to modify the parent theme, but never wanted it to be updated. So I used his snippet so that it would be always be bypassed. So that was kind of a neat trick, but try to stay away from that as a general rule, and go for either a theme from scratch bearing its own name that I know won't be updated, or a child theme. And updating is important, if at all possible. If you can update the parent theme going forward, you want to do that, of course, because if even for security reasons, if bugs are found out, then they could be easily patched with updates from whatever company, and that won't affect your child theme. So yet another reason to choose child themes if you don't need to go the whole gamut and create your own.
No, that's a great point. And it's funny you mentioned that, because one of the popular WordPress developing companies, Woo Themes, they finally released basically a child theme repository. Basically, here's what you could basically customize if you want. So it's nice that they finally, because I've tried forever to try to work on it, and they always have so many hooks and filters. They try to customize it, it becomes a pain. So it's nice that they finally did that.
I think the question of when to use a child theme is an interesting discussion. So I think there's actually, as I started to think about it today, there's quite a number of points that I like to consider when you're asking, like, when to use one or when to not use one. Actually, I think before going into that, I want to cover a little bit what happens technically speaking with a child theme. So I've got like an image up that I might just show while they talk here real quick. All right, can you guys see this image here?
Yep.
All right. So when it comes to child themes, there's a couple things to remember about how the different types of files in your child theme are handled. So first and foremost, your child theme requires a style sheet. It requires at minimum style.css for the theme to exist and for WordPress to acknowledge it and for you to be able to activate it. Got to have style.css. Got to have a little snippet of code that one of these other guys is going to show you here shortly. But I think it's important to kind of understand exactly how these files work and how WordPress handles them. So for starters, the style sheets are loaded in succession, parent theme, then child theme. And this is on all front-end requests. By that I mean any visitor, non-logged-in visitor viewing the front end of your website. So on every page, they're going to get the parent theme style sheet and then the child theme style sheet. And so that allows you to more easily override the CSS styling rules that exist in the parent theme by placing yours after, because that's how CSS works. The last thing takes precedence. So that's how the styling works. Templates those are going to be your most of your PHP files, like single.php or page.php, archive.php, and those other ones that are for specific cases that WordPress looks for to handle certain types of content. Like by default, your blog posts will be presented using single.php, and your header will be included in basically every header.php will be in basically every front-end request. And when an archive list page is being viewed, archive.php will be the template that's used. And so when a child theme is active, WordPress will look for a template with the appropriate name for what it's trying to do in the child theme, and if it doesn't find it, it's going to go to the parent theme and use that one. And so for every one of those templates, if the file exists in the child theme, WordPress will use that and ignore the one in the parent theme, basically. And when it comes to functions, both functions.php files in the parent theme and the child theme, if they both exist, both of them are run on every request, front end or back end. So every time a page is loaded, both functions.php files are run in their entirety. The type of code that exists in those is the kind of code that always needs to be run. It's not something that's used in specific cases or on certain pages unless you code it to be that way. But functions are generally things like what you want your theme to support, how you want it to integrate, what options you want to present in the dashboard, when you want other style sheets or JavaScript files to be enqueued, things like that should be loaded on every request. So the only thing that's really important to remember is that you can never have two functions with the same name exist in like your child themes functions file and your parent themes functions file. So if you try to create a function that has the same name as the parent theme, or if you try to copy your parent themes functions file into your child theme, it's not going to override the parent themes functions file. It's just going to give you this white screen of death because it'll cause a fatal error because there will be functions with the same name. The other thing is, what was that?
Oh, I have just one note on that, if I could butt in real quick. Just one exception to that that I didn't know for the longest time, and that is pluggable functions. So for a little while, I didn't quite understand. Like sometimes I would be looking at a functions.php file from a parent theme and see if function exists, then and then it would proceed with, if the function does not exist, then it would proceed to define that function and run some code. But scrolling up and down, I would see that, well, this is the only thing with that name anywhere. Why would this developer have to check if it exists somewhere else? Because it wouldn't, because I could tell they know what they're doing, and it's only defined this one time. Why is that conditional check even necessary? But later on, as most of you probably know, later on I found out that just as Kyle described, the child theme functions file is loaded first, and then the parents is. So what you can do with pluggable functions is, if in my child theme I choose to create a function with that same exact name and define it, then in my parent theme, when it runs that conditional to check if this is defined anywhere, it will return yes, it was defined somewhere else, and will skip over that part of the functions file in the parent theme because I already defined it once in the child. So it can get a little messy if you're doing that, if you're naming things the same way, but that would be the one and only situation, I think, if you're doing it intentionally with a pluggable function like that the parent theme does check for, and you verified that it does. So just one side note.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I was going to cover that later.
Okay.
Advanced editing, I guess, but it's totally relevant when we talk about functions. And the function exists condition is a really cool one, and I really appreciate it when developers use that, especially theme authors, plugin authors. Instances where I've come across that would be like maybe a theme author included like a widget or something in their theme, and I wanted to change that widget, and the widget is something that's not in a template. I can't use a template override to change it. It's in the functions file. So all I have to do if I want to change it in normal circumstances, I'd be kind of like SOL if I wanted to change it if they didn't use that conditional. But if they wrap the function that declares the widget or whatever else, if function exists, or if function doesn't exist, to be more semantic, I guess, I can, in my functions file, just create that function and copy their code into my functions file and modify it. And that way, when all the code is run, WordPress will use mine instead of theirs, because theirs has that check that says, as long as this function has not been declared elsewhere, use this one.
Right.
So it's like a super handy way to modify things. It makes it really, really easy for future developers to modify something that you've created.
Yeah, something to add to that too. I really wish theme developers would start using give you ways to hook into those functions a little more. The whole function exists thing is great, but sometimes I only need to add one little piece of information to that function. So it'd be nice if theme developers started doing a way to hook into the function started to run, the function ended to run, and anything inside of that function that is big that happens, a way to hook into it at that point. So when I'm developing a child theme, I can say, if they've created a function for modifying the title or something, I can hook into before the title function is run and after the title function is run. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of developers doing that intense in all their functions. Wish it was something that was more common.
Good point.
Yeah, definitely. It's huge. I think, and it's probably very smart for developers to. For those that do, it's smart of them to do it. For those that don't, they should really be considering it, employing more developer-friendly tactics into their code, like more hooks and filters throughout. Because the more you have in there, the easier it is for people like us who are using their themes all the time. So I may be using a Woo theme on 50 different client sites, and I'm a big Woo themes customer among other theme providers out there. So I highly value the theme authors who do make their code easy to extend by incorporating all those functions and all the filters and actions and function exists checks.
All right.
What else?
Next up.
Okay, well, I'll ask a question.
Sure.
So do you manually create the child theme, or do you use, say, a plugin that's out there that just duplicates it and changes it for you?
Manually.
Okay, there's one. What about the rest of you?
I do it manually a lot, but I also do, on many occasions, use one-click child theme. It's a nice
I've
plugin.
never used it, so I don't know. Is it easy to use?
Like, making a child theme is something that's pretty easy to do to begin with, but one-click child theme actually makes it even easier.
Specifically, how many clicks does it take?
More like, if you count activating it, and it's more like probably 3 or 4 clicks.
False advertising. Yeah.
broken promises.
Change that name now.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I usually make them from scratch, and for anybody out there who is interested in trying out your own child theme, there's a page. It's codex.wordpress.org/child_themes, or if you just Google WordPress child themes, it'll be one of the first few results. But that shows you exactly how to create one. I don't know if this was mentioned already, but the bare minimum that you have to have in order to create a child theme is just a style sheet. All right, so though you can go more in depth with templates and all the things that we've talked about thus far, really bare minimum, if you create your own style sheet with these comments on the top as described in that page, and then a few custom styles, whatever your heart desires under that, and just save it as a child theme. That's all, and then activating that theme, I guess, in the WordPress backend would be the very last step. But that's all it takes to get one up and running, at a minimum.
Yeah, that's true. And I think for parent themes, the minimum file requirements are style.css and index.php. I think for a normal theme to exist, a child theme only requires style.css.
Yeah, there's a few more files you need for the parent theme for it to exist correctly. It's the index.php, functions.php, header, footer, and style.css. You have those 5.
Well, I think you can technically activate one without the other, without like header and footer functions.
I thought it would throw an error.
Header, yeah, because the header starts it, right?
Header has to be included.
Yeah.
You have to put a get header into the template. So.
All right. How about next? You want to cover why use them? We've already talked about updates to your theme would remove your changes. We also had a note in some of the show notes here about voiding warranties. Kyle, you want to speak to that?
Sure. Yeah. So I made a little bit of a list. I think I was thinking about the reasons that you might want to consider using a child theme. Brian talked about updates. That's a big enough reason in itself, I think, because if you're using any reputable theme, it should be getting updates, and you want to be able to keep them. And you want to be able to keep your changes. So that's a good enough reason right there. Use a child theme. But other things we might consider are the fact that if you were to edit a parent theme directly, then any support or warranty type situation that you may have from where you purchased it from would basically be lost. Whoever you bought the theme from would, in most cases, stop supporting you because you altered it. You changed their code. Just like if I were to start, hacking away at a new laptop that I bought or a washing machine, probably where I bought it from, they would tell me that my warranty was void and they can't fix it for me because I tampered with it. It's basically the same with your parent theme. If you're going to hack away at it, don't expect somebody to come in and fix it for nothing after the fact. So, that's another kind of compelling reason, I think. Others that you might think about, your theme author aside, supporting a modified parent theme is that much harder if it's a mix of the theme author's code and your code. And depending on how good of a developer you are and how good you are at commenting things and a very logical flow of your modifications, anybody else getting into the mix can find it to be a very confusing and difficult situation. I've had this so many times where I come in and maybe multiple developers have come and hacked away at the same theme. I don't have a clue who did what, and I don't even know where the difference between the original theme and the modifications break down. It becomes very, very difficult to support and to get my head around the code and what's happening and what is needed and why were these decisions made. If you're modifying a parent theme directly, it puts everything in one messy bag or folder, whereas in a child theme scenario, it's very clearly separated. So you've got the clean parent theme where the original theme author's code exists, and then you've got a child theme where the modifications exist. It's very easy to understand where the new developer stepped in to make changes. So that's another just really useful reason I think it would be worthwhile to do it just for something like that. So anybody have anything to add to those?
I have a question to throw out. with all these companies coming out with more builder themes, and then they're building themes on top of those builder themes for themselves as a child theme, what about extending and modifying that child theme that you've downloaded from this company that they are making updates to? Do you create a child theme of the child theme, which is a child theme of the builder?
A grandchild.
Yeah.
Well,
On top of that, how far down can you go?
Well, my first question is how do you know they're going to update that child theme? Because usually, like the example I gave earlier with Woo themes, it's very basic. It's just a style CSS, and I think the index and like 2 other files, and most of it's empty. So I mean, there's not much to update with that.
Yeah.
But if you look at like the Genesis theme,
no, yeah.
but all of their stuff is child themes, and they sell. I don't know if they sell them, but people sell child themes on top of Genesis, and those other companies do update their theme that's on top of Genesis. So now you have to have their theme, you have to have Genesis theme, and now if you want to make your own edits, you have to have your own theme.
But who here uses Genesis?
Oh,
I see a lot of hands going up there.
I just don't use it.
No Genesis love.
Yeah, I don't either. I know that's one of the ones that they build their model off of their framework.
yeah, that's correct. You're making a great point, Brian. And it's like a corner case situation when it comes to the child theme world, because there are framework providers out there, especially Genesis is the big one, because there are there's a huge distribution of Genesis child themes. Their whole business is built on selling Genesis child themes, and those do get updates. They're not just like a bare bone starter theme, but they do get updates, and so that complicates this scenario, because to answer Brian's question, I don't know if he knew the answer or just wanted to raise the question, but WordPress doesn't technically support grandchild themes. There's kind of
Really?
no such thing. It doesn't really work. Although, well, officially it doesn't work. Officially, WordPress doesn't support or isn't designed for grandchild themes. So,
a friend of mine is one of the creators of Startbox, which is a framework, or a parent theme. And on the site, which was acquired by Web Dev Studios, an agency a little bit ago, they have both the parent theme framework and also some child themes. And he was for a while thinking about pushing out updates to the child themes as they got new and improved. But then thought that's a terrible idea, because the whole WordPress ethos idea is the child theme is the thing that you shouldn't hesitate to edit, that you should make your changes to, and not the parent theme. So if I issued updates of the child theme, I'm wiping out any customization the clients may have done. That's a bad idea. So that situation, they steered clear of that, and just if changes are made, they're offered on the website where the child themes are. But anybody who had downloaded it, they're not pushed out, for fear of wrecking people's sites, those child themes when they were edited. So it's messy outside of maybe, like you said, a corner case that would be Genesis or a big framework like that.
certainly, it seems complicated, and it seems like you're left high and dry in these situations, because it's not WordPress isn't set up to work with like a grandchild theme, so you can't just like keep going layer after layer. You can't do an Inception, scenario where we gotta go deeper. But
I love that analogy, though. That's great.
well, I mean, we're really not left totally high and dry, because everything that you want to do can still be done. And the research and testing that I've done on this, and my experience with it, is that the the best way to begin to incorporate your changes, you know, in the cases where you're working on a child theme that's based on a parent theme or a framework or something, and you want to make changes to that child theme, but that you don't want those to be lost in an update, or get mixed up with some of the other reasons we talked about, like losing support from the author, or just mucking up your code with theirs and making support and further development complicated. It is possible to continue your design-related development in plugins. You could be working within a plugin and do just about anything you want to. There are template-related functions that can be used in plugins, and obviously you can enqueue or dequeue style sheets and script files as much as you want, and so those would be some of those common things you'd want to adjust. And obviously you can override or replace or hook into functions within a plugin just as well as you could within a functions file in a theme. So it's definitely possible, just the application becomes a little bit different when you get to that level. So as a developer, you got to kind of learn a few new tricks.
So when should you not use child themes? I mean, we talk about all the pros more or less. I mean, is there a, should you not use a child theme? Like, what are some examples of that?
Anybody else have thoughts on that? Jason probably does.
No. Anytime I need a child theme, I go with it. I just, like I said before, I don't use child themes a lot because I have that functionality, and almost all the functionality I would need within Headway. But if I do need to actually change something within the functions, I go with it. I don't mess with it.
Well, that's what we're talking about right now, Jason, is when the cases when you don't, why are you not using a child theme where most of us are?
Okay, well, for me, the reason I don't really use it is because I don't need to customize those files. I have the ability to drop in CSS right within my editor on Headway. I have most of the ability to do anything I would need to do that I would normally use a child theme for. So, you know, if I was running something off 2014, yeah, I might need to go in and change the color of something with the child theme, change, you know, the background color, or the text color, all that stuff that would be done with a child theme normally, I don't mess with because it's all an option that it's, you know, a click of a button away within my theme. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does, yeah. So Headway, the you know, framework you use, the builder that you use, it stores all your custom changes. It saves somewhere else where they're never updated if the theme updates. That's what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So the theme updates regularly, and it does not affect my changes within that. The only time I have ever had to actually do a custom or a child theme on top of Headway was one time. It was the easiest way I could get WPML, WordPress multi-language, I wanted to customize the language bar and the flags and the images the way they were displayed on there, and that was the only time I've ever needed to use a child theme, and I'm sure I could have done that with a plugin as well. It just, that particular time, it was simpler to throw up a child theme, add that in there, and move on.
Yeah, so I think Headway is a good example of like other paths that we can take to implement our customizations. So every time you want to change something about how your site looks, there could be a whole slew of different ways that you could make it happen. And diving into the code inside of a child theme is a popular and effective way if you're comfortable doing the code and, you know, building on top of but outside of the parent theme that you're using. But there are other options for using your customizations, and Headway's built-in like editor system is a great example of that. and there are plugins and there are other theme frameworks and themes that use this like advanced dashboard editing interface where the information is not stored in the code but stored in the database. So it's update safe because when updates are pushed out, they're all code. They're all based. They're all replacing the files that exist in your theme directory, but it doesn't touch what exists in your database. And those options, any changes that you've made to your design using a plugin or using a theme like Headway, those are safe. And so it depends on like what you're comfortable with and the extent of the changes you're making. A lot of it.
Yeah, I think that's something to consider as well. When you know, there's a lot of times you can use a plugin that, you know, we had this conversation about themes. When do you include the functionality in the theme, and when do you put it in plugins? And so we could basically rehash that entire conversation if we wanted to from the original themes hangout that we did. I don't think we need to do all.
Yeah, everybody refer back to episode whatever, theme episode. That's a
Yeah, that was one of the first episodes. So
what episode was that? I don't even know.
I think it was 3, maybe?
Was it?
No, 5. Episode 5.
Themes 5, yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody, pause this video and go watch that, and then come back.
Unless you're watching live, then.
No, let's just watch it live. Yeah, well, to finish the little chat about when to not use a child theme, I would say there are several instances when I opt to not use a child theme. Those are when I want to do something really stupid and I'm drunk, and I don't use a child theme. I'm totally just being an idiot. Or I want to screw somebody over and make their life miserable.
Revenge. Good reason.
Or
the client doesn't pay him. Then you just edit the parent files directly and.
No, you just remove the child and be done with it.
Right.
Yeah. Other instances would be when I speaking as in any, maybe not me, I don't very often, but if I were using a sophisticated editor tool, like a visual editor tool, a drag and drop thing like Builder or Headway or Velocity Page or things like that, where I can modify the design and layout of my templates without doing code from in the WordPress dashboard, then I wouldn't really there would be little necessity for a child theme in that case. Or if the changes I'm making are basically just some simple CSS stuff. Because if it's just CSS, I could do that either within the options for the theme if they're provided, or within a plugin that gives me an option for custom CSS. There's a lot of custom CSS plugins out there that just give you a field in the dashboard and throw it in your CSS. And so if that was all I had to make, I wouldn't necessarily create a whole child theme for that. Or the only other case was if I know the original theme that I'm working with will never ever need to be reused, supported, or updated. If I know that without a doubt, I'll never need any of that. Then I'll edit it directly.
Well, we're going to be on for what, another 5-10 minutes we got. Just point out, if anybody watching live has any questions or comments, now would be a good time to throw them in there.
Yeah.
We're pretty sure it was both. We're pretty sure everybody watching is your family, Kyle. So.
That's funny, Jason.
Oh.
Yeah.
What else have we got there? I don't know.
I mean, I got more.
Go for it.
Other instances, compelling reasons for using a child theme. There were a couple that I didn't throw in. What I do in a lot of cases is multi-sites. The concept of a child theme becomes very handy where I'm running a network of sites, and maybe a lot of them are similar, but I want some of them to have some differences. Subtle differences. It could be whatever. They could all have a different footer or a different header or something of that nature, a different color scheme. It becomes a really awesome situation where WordPress and WordPress multi-site really shine, or where I have the parent theme installed, and then I have a child theme for each sub-site that requires a different design. And so my theme directory just has the parent theme and all these child themes that are used in their own case. And that makes it great where I can just update the parent theme, and that provides the value of the updated code for all of the sites in this network. And it's really easy for me to implement really granular site-specific changes in the child theme for each sub-site. So that's a really handy use case for me. And the other thing that I love is that I can version control my changes if I'm working in a child theme, which would be hard or next to impossible to do if I were working in a non-code context, like in a drag-and-drop kind of scenario. So if I'm doing code, I can version control everything. I can use Git, or if I was really weird, I could use an alternative to Git, but everybody just uses Git that I know. So that's really handy. But version control is another topic, but it's awesome if you don't know what it is. So Nate's about to give a demo, actually, so I'm going to pass it over to him.
I think that was Brian that actually had it.
Oh, was it Brian?
That was Brian.
My mistake.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that. I mean, I could probably throw something together pretty quick if you want.
All right.
You're
Kellen
prepared.
Kellen said he's got a good joke to tell to fill the time. So.
Clean, dirty or clean? Is this a family appropriate?
Well, you remember who's watching, so.
All right. Oh, that's right.
Sorry.
All right, I got a borderline one. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. My brother told me this a bit ago. It's pretty good. Let me think. Wait. All right, I got it. A pirate walks into a bar, and he has just the wheel, just the large wooden steering wheel. I don't know if there's another name for that. From his ship is in his pants. All right, and now he's walking into a bar. So I'm getting laughs already with this joke. It's funny already. All right, so this pirate with the wooden steering wheel in his pants walks into a bar, and the bartender takes one look at him and says, "What in the world? Why is that thing in your pants?" And he says, "Arg, I don't know, but it's driving me nuts." Oh, come on, give it up. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. I killed enough time with that one.
No, maybe we can do a demo later. Another episode.
Yeah, we can always do it in the course of the week.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't see any questions, any comments, anything going on. What do you say we wrap this up?
All right, good plan.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching. Hope I know I learned a couple things here on child themes, but
Me too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely learned when Kyle does not use them and how to be vindictive.
If I see a project Kyle's working on and there's no child theme, I know not to step away from it.
Yeah, somebody's got it coming.
All right. Catch you later.
Bye.
All right.